Well, good afternoon. If it's Monday, 3 o'clock, it's Mondays with Michael live here on Facebook. Hoping everyone had a great weekend. My topic today is a topic I've talked about probably a couple times here on Mondays with Michael live, but it keeps coming up. Our clients are talking about it, so I thought I'd bring it up again. As always, I'm going to go back to my notes here and share some thoughts with you. If you're joining us in the room, say hi. Today, if you're watching this post session, either on LinkedIn, Twitter, or through our YouTube channel, thanks for checking it out. But our program today is on harassment. And today's program on harassment or discussion on harassment is from a trainer's perspective, not from a legal's perspective. So our organization, trainers, we teach people skills, we teach people the content. We're not legal. So clients don't come to us with issues that happen in the harassment process. Definitely check with your legal counsel or someone in your organization in HR if something were to actually happen in your organization. So we're going to talk about where we're at, things that I'm seeing out there with our clients, and then some solutions that we can provide to you. So for many of us in the people space, working with people in the HR space over the last 30 years or so, in the early 90s, there were some high-profile harassment, sexual harassment cases that made all over the news. For those of you as old as I am, you know what they were all about. At that time, a lot of folks in HR took a very proactive approach to make sure their organizations had policies in place, were protected. In those days, we had a lot of diversity programs, a lot of harassment programs, a lot of diversity councils were set up. I mean, how do we all work in the same workspace and get along together? And part of that was understanding what sexual harassment was and wasn't. And then, kind of went away for a while, though we would get calls from time to time for harassment training. It wasn't really a hot topic issue in the workplace. Clients would call from time to time. We would do the training. And it was kind of a regular education program that was offered by clients. Some do it annually, some do it every other year, but it wasn't really a hot button issue. Well, that all changed about 3 years ago. This whole Me Too movement has brought the issue back to the forefront. For those of us in the HR space, we're actually very disappointed. I mean, we're sad to see, we were disappointed to see it, because we thought, frankly, we had worked out a lot of these issues along the way, but obviously we did not. So now we're back to where we were probably back at that time. We're getting a lot of calls, a lot of inquiries. We're getting calls from clients who have had issues and now want to go back and do some training. So whether your organization has 5 employees, 50 employees, 500 employees, 5,000 employees, it doesn't matter. You need to have a policy. You need to have a process in place to handle harassment, complaints, and education. Doesn't matter what size of your company. Now, when it comes to what it is and having a policy, harassment, sexual harassment is really defined by 2 things. Most legal experts will tell you 2 things. It's either quid pro quo. It's doing something for something. And in this case, it would include some type of sexual favor. So you want the promotion, do this. You want to go on the trip, do that. It's something for something. But the other one, and probably the most prevalent one, is what we call a hostile work environment. That the environment at work is just so ugly that employees feel very uncomfortable coming to work for numerous reasons. And that's where we see most of it. That includes jokes, emails, bosses, chitter chatter around the cooler. That could be hostile work environment. So where do I find a policy? Well, if you're a real small company and you're thinking about creating a policy, a couple places you can go. EEOC on the DOL website is a good place to go to get a framework for a policy. If you're a SHRM member or if you want to join SHRM, they have sample policies you can use that you can incorporate to your organization. So now that you have a policy, when do you teach this policy? Well, we recommend doing it at orientation. When you hire an employee to the organization, or as you're doing everything else, you're teaching them how to use the phone, how to use email, how to mail stuff out of your organization. This is where you tell them about what is required to work in this workplace. And these are the rules of engagement. These are things you can do, and these are things you cannot do in the workplace. These are our policies around sexual harassment. And you actually train them what it is and what it isn't, because a lot of folks that are going to come to your organization don't know. And trust me, if they're coming off college campuses, they really don't know. They need to know what it is and what it isn't, and they need to read through a policy. They need to be able to ask questions. And then they need to be able to sign off and say, okay, I understand what it is. I know what the policies are. But not only do they know the policies, they need to know the process. So if they feel harassed in the workplace, what is your process for them to tell somebody about that? including if it's their boss, because you need a policy just in case that happens. And we're going to talk bosses. We're going to talk about bosses in a minute. But you need to have a process in place, so if it happens, they see it, it happens to them, where do they go first? Is it HR? Is it a legal officer? Is it their boss? Is it somebody else? But there needs to be a process in place, and that process needs to include investigation of everything. Investigation of everything. Some of our clients have employees sign documents when they go through the training, just to make sure they're aware what their responsibilities are and what they can and what they cannot do in the workplace. Sometimes we provide that document for them. Manager training. Manager training is so important. Managers, supervisors are your eyes and ears in the workplace. They have a legal responsibility to report something if they see it. And if they see sexual harassment in place, they need to report it. But they also need to know the process on how to report it and who to give it to so the investigation can begin. So I mentioned earlier, you need to have a process in place. So if the boss is the harasser, what do you do then? What do you do then? So manager training, understanding their responsibilities. And last but not least, leadership training. The leadership of the organization has to create an environment of a harassment-free workplace, and it starts at the top. I can't tell you how many times I've been called into customers about this issue, and I'll ask them, what is senior leadership doing about this? And they're doing nothing, as my mother said, they do nothing. They're doing nothing. They don't know what's happening in the workplace. Sometimes their behavior itself is influencing others to do this in the workplace. It starts at the top. The senior team, the senior management team needs to tell the organization this type of behavior is unacceptable in the workplace, and if we see it, we're going to deal with it in a very, very strict and very, very, very quick manner. So that all said, what can you do from a learning perspective to help your employees understand what it is, what it isn't, and what their responsibilities are to reporting it? Well, we offer several different programs in harassment as far as harassment goes, and I'll put a link into the chat here, the message here, and also put it on LinkedIn of the programs we offer. So we offer classroom training. Some of our clients like the classroom experience, so we offer classroom training. Most of these are vignette-based programs where you see something, you kind of see the harassment in play, whether it is or whether it isn't, talk about it at the table. So we go through the legal part of what harassment is and isn't. We go through some vignettes, we discuss it, we go through some case studies, we discuss it. And then we also go through the company's policy and process. Sometimes HR is in the room with us when we do that. Sometimes we do that independent of HR. So we do offer a classroom experience for people to learn about what harassment is and what it isn't. But we do also offer online courses. We offer two types of online courses. We offer general harassment training as an online course for just about anyone in the organization. Most of these are an hour or so. We push them out through our portal here at the office, and we can manage that process for you, so you don't have to worry about managing the process. We also offer manager-specific training that includes the parts of their responsibility when it comes to reporting harassment and investigating if they need to. And we offer those classes. Those programs online tend to be a couple hours long. They tend to be a little longer because we go through the basic part of harassment and then their responsibilities. We also offer, for those clients of ours in California and in New York, which have specific legal requirements for training supervisors, and they have laws in those states that are up and above the federal requirements when it comes to harassment. We have two sets of programs, one set for California managers and supervisors, and one set for New York managers and supervisors that we can offer your organization also. So it's very, very important to do that. We can track it for you. We can send you data at the end of the run to make sure who's completed it and who hasn't completed the course. Just send me a message, and I'll send you more information about those. So that's our show today, but I do want to tee you up a commercial for our next few sessions. We're going to run a 3-part series on selection. We have a very, very awesome pre-employment tool called the Profile XT, or the PXT Select now. It's been changed, the PXT Select. And we're going to go through the 3 parts of that assessment. We're going to go through the thinking style, the behavior traits, and the interests, the 3 areas that assessment measures that will help you make a better hiring decision. With the labor market getting so tight, it's very important that you make the right hiring decision. So what tools are available? This is one of the tools that we offer our clients. We're going to go through a 3-part series. Next week, we'll start with thinking style. We'll do it on Monday, 3 o'clock Eastern. Mondays are Michael live here on Facebook. Thanks for hanging out today, and look forward to seeing you next week. Make it a great week. Bye.